Hey y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today I'm joined by Squeaks.
Squeaks!
Once again, if you're a video watcher, you saw Squeaks vanish like a
No, it
magic
wasn't
trick
very
and
well.
came
No.
back.
You saw my back. It wasn't very well.
Well, I mean, look, Penn and Teller, they're gonna spot you. They're gonna tell you that didn't fool them. You know.
They did.
We have a lot to talk about today, so we're going to get right into the news, and then we're going to be covering the Switch that just came out, and you've been doing some testing on that. Yep. And we have an interview with Scott Wilk, who writes the Frost franchise, the Periwinkle franchise. So much to talk about today. But let's go ahead and get right into the news. So we're going to kick off with a lot of video game reactions and stuff like that. Let's start out with we finally have 007 back. It's called 007 First Light. It's going to be when he's 26 years old, so as a young man. 007, James Bond. Were you a 007 game fan?
Yeah, the last time I ever played a 007 game was GoldenEye 64, so maybe I can't say I'm a fan then, in that case. I can't even tell you what game was after that one.
There's a lot that came after that one. My favorite's Nightfire, which was GameCube and all those. But there was one that they came out with, I think on Xbox One, that was like a new GoldenEye. That I think was using the Daniel Craig bot, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
but
like
this resparking of the franchise using the Hitman games, to me, like the Hitman games are good, but they're so segmented that I'm like, I don't want it to be too segmented. I want a good story. I don't know if they can handle this. I don't know if those developers can handle this franchise.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, we're expecting a lot, and it looks like a little bit more action than a Hitman, which I don't quote me wrong. It's been a while since I played a Hitman, but a Hitman just seems so tactical, like I have to kind of watch my steps. This one had a little bit of a Uncharted feel maybe to it, where you can
because for 007 you should be able to do both, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Whatever way you want to approach
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And I'm hoping, because we got so much of cutscenes, we're getting the Indiana Jones like storytelling with the kind of like that Uncharted action. That's what I would like to see out of this one, and that's kind of the vibe I was getting. But I am a little nervous if you're saying if this is going to be too Hitman-like, because sometimes I attempt these Hitman games, and it's one of those things where once you like blow a cover or once you kind of mess up, you're just like pissed off. Well, at least for me, my experience, I'm pissed off to where I'll just restart it because this is not how I really want it to happen, and it's kind of those things where if shit hits the fan, hopefully it's not the end of the world, right? But you get your way out of, you get yourself out of it. That's how I feel. That's what I'm hoping for.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a difference between like progressing through something that seems impossible versus just frustration.
Yes.
And I think like if you get found out in a Hitman game, it's like, I screwed something up. And it's not like, say, an Elden Ring where it's like, okay, I just learned something new. Now I know to avoid this new thing or that new thing. Or like, okay, I just got to get tighter on this. Like you're actually progressing in the ability to eventually take this boss down. In Hitman, if you messed up, it's just because you done fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't feel rewarding. It's just frustrating. So
yeah, that's kind of a bummer, but hopefully not.
Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it has multiplayer. I didn't see anything about multiplayer, and I think that's something that if you're going to make a new 007 game, do it, man. Give us all the multiplayer you can.
What would you like to see out of that multiplayer? Are we talking like just the versus thing? Or are we talking like a co-op?
Yeah, just throw us a little map. We're all different agents shooting at each other like the classic GoldenEye days. Give us split screen if you really want to make us happy.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Resident Evil. Are you a Resident Evil fan?
Most definitely. All
right, we got Requiem coming up. You playing this?
Yes. I mean, I got a little beef about this. So it seems like every time we're going to advance the story of Resident Evil, we're turning it into maybe this first person, and that's the vibe I'm getting with this one, which they didn't really show too much gameplay. You could
switch back and forth, is what they said. Depending on what you want.
Okay. But then it's like, do you think it takes away from the experience? I really like the first person experience in Village. Biohazard was fine, and I don't have a problem with it really, but it's almost like, can we almost revert back to the successes of like Resident Evil Remake 2 and 3 and whatever and progress the story? Or is this kind of just the thing going forward? I'm definitely going to play because, again, I did like Resident Evil Village way more than I like Biohazard 7. But yeah, I mean, I'm super looking forward to obviously like a progression of the story. It looks like it's going way extreme, or we're visiting Raccoon City as it's like total destruction,
following
right?
The nuke attack.
Yeah. So it's how much how much more can you pull out of the hat, right? With the Resident Evil,
Right, out of the same nostalgia area,
exactly,
they're talking
exactly.
about Leon will pop up at some point.
Oh,
So it's like,
Chris did in the last one, so yeah.
yeah. My thing too with this is like, if you're going to bounce between first and third person, I think that the way to scare people is very different in both those. I think first person leans itself into like movie scares, jump scares and things like that. But third person, I think where Resident Evil shines is when it's like a scarcity of ammo and being overwhelmed. So I think the two are different. And if you're going to combine them both, fine. But like, if you're going to make the game to where you can switch back and forth, that's tough to like make sure the scares work for both too. Because if I can see around a corner and it's supposed to scare me because of a jump scare, and I can see it around the corner hanging out, ain't working, from the third person.
So what's your experience? What's your last Resident Evil game you played?
I tiptoed around in Resident Evil 8. I literally just re-downloaded it during the trailer for this one. I was like, okay, well, I gotta get in on this. Because it has been a while since I really played a lot of Resident Evil, but
yeah. They just keep going up with the monster vibes more than I feel like the city zombie like. And it's almost like I would love to see maybe like if they get too far with his first person type of ordeal. I'm not going to talk about like switch back and forth, whatever. Let's just say first person. It'd be kind of nice to see just a reboot, right? Kind of like Mortal Kombat did, or Mortal Kombat 1. To see a Resident Evil 1 in potentially first person, just to get that scary vibes of, the city is under siege.
Actual zombies.
Right.
With it being Raccoon City, I think that might be an option. I think that might be kind of foretelling that you're going to actually see, zombies in this place.
Yeah. Just something that's not getting so like wild with the monster vibes, right? Monsters Inc. That's what we're getting to.
Actually, the one monster we did see was like this lady that was crawling on a wall. So I'm like, okay, that's not a zombie. That's actually straight up something I would have seen out of 8. So yeah, and the objective is clear. So in Resident Evil Outbreak, you're saving, or I'm sorry, this is the daughter from Resident Evil Outbreak, and you're going in to save somebody in a hospital, but you're also kind of exploring this place where your mother died from Resident Evil Outbreak. So there's a little bit of reference to an old game. It seems to be like kind of trying to meld something new and old together. And they really talked about like trying to create immersive storytelling and combining you with everything. So, we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting. It's an interesting take.
Yeah, Resident Evil Outbreak. I can't believe that they're pulling from that. That's a game that I have memories of playing when it's like you pick certain different characters and they progress like or you kind of like I don't know if you watch this show like Win or Lose on Disney Plus. It's pretty good.
Yeah, familiar with it. Yeah.
It's kind of like everybody's like all in this one city, but you're playing different characters to like tell like it's
different perspectives.
Story. Yeah.
Of the same day.
That's crazy. They're pulling from that.
Yeah.
Ashcroft.
Let's move over to Xbox. They had a very big showcase. It was pretty messy weekend, honestly, for video games because we had the Summer Game Fest. We had Xbox's own personal showcase, and we had IGN Live, which we'll have Thomas jumping in for the IGN Live coverage because he was there at the event covering it for us. But let's talk about Xbox. What was something big out of there that you wanted to make sure to bring up to the table?
This okay, so I'll tell you what I think is kind of big and what I think it's not like something that I'm super looking forward to.
Right.
But with the announcement of Final Fantasy 16 being on the Xbox really marks that you can play almost every single Final Fantasy game right now on one console. That's something that you can't get with other ones, and it's kind of frustrating for the fact that I recently wanted to play Final Fantasy 13. Just memories of playing it back in the past on the PS3, and wanted to kind of jump into that again. I could only have played it. I got it on the PC under the Xbox app. So I think it's like super important that you can honestly play this franchise that wasn't created for Xbox, I guess, so long ago, but it was on PlayStation 1.
PlayStation, frankly,
right? Yeah. It's an all-in-one Final Fantasy experience. So that I think to me that's pretty big. What do you think that was kind of big out of this thing?
To me, I'm really interested in this game called Clockwork Revolution that they showed off. It's its premiere, and it gave me Bioshock Infinite vibes. It's time travel, whimies. You literally have like an ability to like rewind time and fix things. I'm like, ooh, that looks tempting. If you mess something up and you died, you just press the button and you rewind time and try to do it again. And it's a very cool world. And immediately I'm like, if you guys give this thing the tender loving care it deserves. And I'm already like looking at the creators on Threads. I'm going to be following up on them, see if I can get an interview with one of them. This could be the next big franchise for Xbox. There's something when I'm watching Xbox Showcase. And actually right now I'm playing on Xbox. I'm literally like games I own on PS5. I'm just playing on Xbox because I like the controller, the better layout. I'm just like, you know what? Xbox just makes the games I like, the kinds of games I like. Those, you know, basic Western RPGs that don't have so much text like those. The JRPGs, they have so much text, I just get damn lost in them. I'm like, where was this little button? This is a healing potion. Where'd that go?
Oh, shit. Are we playing now? Gameplay? Yeah.
Oh,
shit.
man.
That's funny.
They also announced a new Call of Duty. No surprise, they always do. But you know, yeah, it looks pretty. They always look pretty. You know?
Yeah.
Still haven't finished the last one though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're diving into games, I think definitely the Invincible Versus looks a lot of fun. I love the artwork for that one, but it does look like a mixture of what Marvel. This is how I compared it. What Marvel versus Capcom 4 Infinite should have been. That's what this Invincible looks like, because that was kind of a flop to me. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think so. One of my favorite horror games of all time is Dead Space. Love that franchise. I want to definitely see. Would love to see on the big screen. And then they came out with Chronos, the New Dawn, and that's. I mean, if it's not Dead Space theme or theming, then I don't really know what it is. But it looks pretty awesome to me. I mean, I like the like the character itself with all this like helmet thing. It almost looks like old technology and so I don't know. I was getting interesting vibes. Yeah, but that looks pretty nice. Yeah.
I knew they were going to talk about Outer Worlds 2, so I went ahead and did a speed run for Outer Worlds 1 again. And this time I went full evil, which was a fun way to play.
Yeah.
It's like Fallout, but they don't take itself seriously. It totally makes fun of itself. One of my favorite things is like, say you keep getting shot by plasma bullets. It'll eventually ask, like, you could take, it's, I forget what it's called. Oh, flaws system. So it'll be like, hey, you keep getting attacked by plasma bullets. If you take plasmaphobia, like a fear of plasma bullets, where you take 20% extra damage from plasma bullets, you will get an extra talent in the talent tree. You can pick anywhere you want. And so it's like, do I want to take extra damage from plasma bullets for this? It's real tempting. And so you end up building a character that might have extra, abilities, but in lieu of that, shit, I hope those guys all have plasma guns or they don't have knives or something like that. Well, in this one, they're having even more fun with that really unique system. And a couple of the examples I loved was one of them is called bad knees. If you say you are jumping a lot, it'll ask, hey, do you want to take a floor where you have bad knees, where you will have increased speed and faster jumping. But in lieu of that, whenever you're stealth and you come out of, or whenever you're in stealth, you try to come out of stealth, your knees will crack and it'll alert everybody around you.
That's super funny.
Yeah.
Man, this is something I probably should try, right? Being a Fallout fan.
Oh, I like you.
I mean, and I need something like new in the Fallout universe. I think I will. Yeah. I remember you praising this game a lot. So with announcement number 2, I might have to give this a try.
It's
not
Fallout,
even that far away.
It's very companion based. Like your companions are actually highly useful.
Nice.
And it totally makes fun of itself. Like it's super like corporate stuff everywhere. Like, hey, if you watch, or hey, why don't you join our corporation and take out the union? And like, you just shoot everybody. It's just all kinds of fun stuff like that.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's really blast.
That's funny.
Lastly, let's make sure we talk about the ROG Xbox Ally. This is their new, I want to say quotes around this, Xbox's new handheld system. My problem with this is I wanted an Xbox handheld, but I wanted an actual Xbox made device. This is them teaming up with Asus and stuff like that to make a ROG that's Xbox edition.
Yeah.
So I really wanted like what PlayStation did, frankly. Just give me a piece of glass with an Xbox controller wrapped around it for a couple $100. We'd all be happy because that thing's a champ. It's an unsung hero, frankly. What do you think about this new Xbox handheld?
See, I was kind of some part of me using like ROG, some other like ROG devices. Was kind of excited about it, and I think it's a smart move because it's not like they're trying to like create something. I guess what like don't recreate the real. Let's just throw money at another company and do it for us.
Yeah,
it almost does have the vibe of that Xbox controller, like what you're saying with just.
It's fully redesigned to feel like an Xbox controller.
Yeah,
apparently, people who actually have the hands on it. Yeah.
So with the ROG though. Is this supporting a Steam application as well, or is it just going to be Xbox?
That's kind of the benefit is that with this, not only will it's natively Microsoft, and it has a whole new UI. This is Microsoft's brand new UI for their mobile system, but also Steam, Blizzard, Epic Games, I assume, stuff like that are also on there too. Which I mean, like everybody has a huge Steam and Epic Games library now, so
right,
that's hugely beneficial.
What are we thinking of price points? I mean, did they announce anything like that yet?
They didn't announce a price point. I would probably say $500, which is I'm not interested at that price.
That's
Like
tough.
the
Yeah.
PlayStation 1 is a really good price. That's
Yeah.
kind of the selling point to that one.
Yeah. That's tough, right? Because the PlayStation 1 just now came out with its beta thing of playing it without internet. Or I'm sorry, playing without streaming, using internet to, whatever, pull from a cloud or something, pull games from a cloud. So I'm assuming that's probably what this is going to be, right? Very similar.
You can download the games itself onto the system itself. Because the base model comes with 256 gigabytes, I think.
Yeah.
So you can actually download the game itself onto the system or stream it like you would on that
Okay,
one.
so then if we're thinking $500, I mean, that's a console, right? I mean, if you could like download games and stuff like that, like it's essentially a console where, because $500 you're thinking like, no, fuck that, I'm gonna get like the actual Xbox, right?
Right.
Man, just imagine if you were able to plug that into something, right? Does it have HDMI ports? Doesn't really show you ports in the trailer, huh?
It has USB-C ports, and it does say that if you get the upgraded model, it has a USB-C port that can go into a GPU, so you can have a graphics card making it go better. And I'm like,
that's intense.
It has to be.
That's intense.
Yeah. By the way, I have Oculus, and I have done it on the phone. You could remote play onto both those devices. You get a little clip for your Xbox controller. You can put your phone on your Xbox controller and do this. So I'm saying if you wanted a cheap way around it, it's like $12 for that little clip that goes on your controller that holds your phone for you. So, mind you don't need to spend this kind of money for this. It would have just been nice if they came up with like when PlayStation announced that. I think it's called Portal, right?
Yeah,
that thing blew my mind. Yeah, that was really good.
It's really awesome too. Beautiful screen on it. So you pre-order this?
No.
Okay.
Are you gonna get it?
No, I got enough handhelds in my life. I don't need another one.
We're gonna be talking about that later on for sure. All right, let's dip into some Netflix stuff real quick. Netflix had their Tadum. They call it Tadome. That's so stupid. It's spelled Tadum. Tadome event. Is there anything out of Netflix that you're hyped to see? Like for me, I was waiting to see what Chopper looks like. I think Chopper looks pretty good for what we can expect out of Netflix. Yeah. I think he looks solid.
Yeah, I agree. I have no complaints with Chopper. But you already know I'm here for that Stranger Things. I honestly,
it's been so long, dude.
I
gotta rewatch the old ones.
Dude, I did not think this season was coming out. For some reason, I just felt like the buzz about it was pretty quiet. I just thought like, okay, you heard like rumors of the cast having issues with each other, or Elle is like, I'm doing bigger things now, so if you want to talk shit on me, I don't give a shit, kind of thing, whatever. I just did not think this was going to happen. And oh man, when that teaser came out, I was like, thank the heavens that we have this now. Now, it's a lot of old stuff, right? They're trying to like, nostalgia type stuff, bringing it to me. But we did get a little little clips of something new. I think a different like type of a character involvement, which this is my downfall.
Trying to find Vecna and stuff. Yeah.
This is my downfall, though. We saw some new characters. Don't let this be a Star Wars. Right? We're introducing new characters on the very last movie last season. We don't need this shit. Let's just focus on what we like live for 8 years, whatever. Now with this thing, whatever.
I think even probably 10. Yeah. My problem with Stranger Things, it takes so long to release seasons that I kind of lose interest in it.
Yeah.
To where it's like these kids look far too old for me to care about them. Like back in the day when they were little kids out there adventuring, hey, that's a Stephen King movie, in TV form. Yeah. And now at this point, I'm just like, this is bloated and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I think if they were to do a spinoff of this would be interesting, but please come with your receipts. Be like, okay, look, there's a new season every year.
Yeah.
We'll bring down the budget. We don't need to make it super expensive like this one is. I think that would be far better to watch.
Okay, so question then with that regarding that. You're over, like, obviously, this is the final season, so you're happy there, right? We're good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the closure, don't get me wrong. I'm just not as excited as I used to be.
So then with those comments, how are you feeling about, like, the triple release here? We got one, I think, around Thanksgiving time, and then we got Christmas time, and then we got after New Year's or something like that? I forgot the third one.
Actually think that's probably best, frankly, because I think people are learning. I mean, it's so funny. They're learning something that broadcast television's always learned. But like we see that it works really well for Disney. We see that it works great for HBO Max, now that they're renaming it to HBO Max, those dumbasses. that the weekly releases just make people sub longer. You'll note that that's spread over 2 months. So you have to pay for Netflix twice. For a lot of people who walked away, they have to come back for 2 months. So I think it's a good move. I think it's always smart. Plus, it helps us who like to talk about it to stay in the zeitgeist a little longer than just being a flash in the pan and gone. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It gives us something to preach about for a longer period of time. I think for me, as someone who's a fucking sucker for everything and likes to buy around, so when this last season came out, I was a sucker for anything marketing, right? I had the pizza, whatever the pizza shop's pizza that was being sold at Walmart. Yeah. I had some vegan chicken nuggets that just had Stranger Things on the cover. I was just eating it. I don't give a shit while I'm watching it. And then I just watched it extremely fast, really like staying up, or I think I woke up at one point at 3:00 in the morning. I played it on my PlayStation, but I had my PlayStation headphones on so I could hear it and not wake anyone up. I was in it. I was being killed by Vecna. I wanted to feel it, but it's like that, all that stuff just pros long is, it has a longer time span, and it just honestly benefits them, because the more episodes I gotta watch, the more of the pizza I have to buy, because it definitely has to match with what I'm watching, right? The theming.
Well, absolutely. You have to make it a Stranger Things night.
Exactly.
What we need to do is, oh boy, this shouldn't be in Mike. Me and Jonathan were talking again today about how we need to have another D&D session. Actually, we'll just might as well talk about it now while I'm talking about you. Do you want to do this when we do a second D&D session or D&D campaign in person or on Discord? What do you think?
We talk about after the one that's this month?
Yeah, we're not talking about the Daniel one. We're talking about the second one we're going to be starting. That's more frequent.
Oh, okay. I mean, honestly, I get the convenience of online, but I mean, I always enjoy the in-person. So
you're literally the one person we're concerned about. Me and John live within a mile of each other.
That's
so
true.
We're like,
That's true.
Well, we got to see about the guy that lives an hour away.
Yeah, that's true. Can we make a hybrid if that's an option?
Yeah, I think what we could do is like big events in person, and then we'll do like fillers in between. Okay. So, and that also changes who we could invite into our thing. If it was all online, then of course that expands to everybody.
Yeah.
But if it's just in person, then I want to find people that are around here.
Okay.
So, and then we're trying to see, I'd like to find somebody else to DM instead of me, just because first off, we can learn more from another person DMing.
Train me. I have the books. I'm reading.
If you want to DM, dude, I think you would be fantastic at it. You would be so fun.
I literally bought all the new. I literally bought all the new bugs, so I'm definitely been reading them, and then kind of like, hurry, I'm trying to cheat on the side when I play them on my other campaign.
Don't do that. Don't read the one about hell, because that's not cool. You're about to go fight that.
I won't do that. I'll cheat on my other campaign, not yours.
I'm trying to there's a secret that if you guys do this thing, but yeah, I don't want you to learn that secret. Okay, that'd be cool. Yeah.
So you're bringing up D&D, so we're gonna watch D&D when one of these maybe like time frames release, and then maybe like D&D / Stranger Things kind of party. What are we doing?
I'm thinking that's a good idea, huh? We should do like a Stranger Things watch party / D&D.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. All right, and you just volunteered to be our new DM, but you have to do the voices.
I'll do the voice. I mean,
I know you will. I have
props. Come on now. I gotta bring these props.
Yeah. I keep waiting. Like, I've been setting up this big world. Like, Hobbledots hasn't even come back yet. Like, don't worry, he's coming and stuff like that. I got all kinds of plans.
That's funny. Question for you though, since we're like on the topic of D&D and Stranger Things.
Yeah,
people were saying, and I don't think it's going to be that way, and hopefully not, because it's a big slap in the face, and it's kind of like something that people I think don't want. But wonder if this Stranger Things, like people have been saying, the last episode, like, well, that was a great game of Dungeons and Dragons, and it was all made up. How would you feel?
Wow.
Have you not heard this yet?
I love that. No, I actually really like that idea.
Yeah. And L was never real, then, essentially.
Session
right?
That makes so much sense with Vecna and all that. Yeah.
Right? All these characters, Demogorgons, like Vecnas, whatever. L was never real. It's just still the boys. You go back to that, and it's just
what if she is real, but she's just the new girl in school, and she picked a wizard or something like that? Like she picked magic.
Could be. But if I was just thinking the one shot would be like, all right, great game, and you just go back to the very, very like beginning where it's just the same boys on that table, playing at the table, whatever.
But here's the hardest part. They would have shot in that a long time ago when they first started the show, and everybody has to say shut up about it. Like nobody could talk about the fact that they shot the other scene like that. That would be very hard for these kids to do.
I wonder if they shot the scene and they just never know it would go this long, and they were never told that this was the ending. They just shot it,
Okay. I think it's a great idea. Frankly, I'd be very happy with that. Yeah, more pushing for D&D. I'm always on board with that. All right, I'm glad we got some D&D chatting because me and John were just talking today at the gym about like, okay, we got to get this going. But are we going to do it in person? We got to figure out what Squeaks. And now we have a DM. Oh man, John's got a whole complicated character. He's basically like a hero that lives in the trash. That's his whole,
okay.
He can explain it better than I can, but it's hilarious.
Okay.
I might play cleric again. I'm not sure. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and go to our next segment here. We're going to have Thomas coming in, telling us all about IGN Live. All right. Now we're sitting with Thomas, and he's going to be telling us about his time with IGN Live. Hey, Thomas. How you doing today?
Doing great, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for the invite to IGN and to you guys. I mean, it was a time, man. It was fun. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on. So yeah, let's get into it.
You went last year, and that was their very first year doing the event. How have they changed, and what did they learn from their first event?
I think they streamlined things because I think last year it was 3 days. This time it was 2 days. So Saturday was jam-packed. I got there right at the start, doors opened, and there was a line out the door. General admission on VIP, like there was lines everywhere. But I just loved how they kind of styled things. It seemed like it was a lot more efficient. You kind of get funneled through the main doors, and then you pick up your badges, and it sends you down this corridor, which you can see on Geek Freaks social media, by the way. Go check that out. But there's like music, there's all these cool art through the walls, there's all this, just everything, video games, movie, TV. And then you get funneled into the main room. And it's a big stage. And from the jump, there's like a DJ, there's strobe lights, there's this main stage, there's MCs in like shiny jackets. And they were throwing out prizes from the second I got in there till when I left. It was a lot.
Speaking of the prizes, you were saying something like 5,000 prizes or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. It was something like that. Yeah, I might misquote it, but it's like 5,000 to 6,000. Or there was just prizes going on all the time. And we're talking like good stuff. It wasn't just like t-shirts and all those, which were cool too. But there was like nice Funkos. There was a meta quest that got given away right in front of me. There was Switch 2s going on. There was like some really dope stuff. So yeah, and it was a madhouse. It was like trying to catch a bouquet at a wedding. Like I didn't want to get in there because I didn't want to get trampled, but like really cool stuff that was getting thrown out there.
That's dope. You had some really cool panels. What were a couple of panels you really liked?
Yeah. So we've covered this on Challenge Accepted, I believe, but we did the Legend of Vox Machina. So I know Critical Role from that show. I don't know them necessarily from their streams and all their campaigns online, but man, they had their 10-year anniversary and that cast is phenomenal. Like we also covered Game Changers and Dropout, but these improvisers and the talented voice actors that are part of that cast are insane. And they just have so much fun together. But they were just talking about The Legend of Vox Machina. They were talking about Critical Role. They were talking about a new show that's coming out that's kind of different than Vox Machina called The Mighty Nine. It's also been a campaign that they've done on stream, but they've turned it into a show as well. And I guess the first 2 seasons are already recorded. But the panel was just hilarious and amazing. They're top notch.
As someone who, you may go to a lot of conventions, but for people who don't go to conventions or just listen to this podcast, when you see these panels, what are some of the things you gain from it? Why is it nice to see a panel of people you normally watch?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, I always just love the BTS, the behind the scenes of like, do they actually like the job? Do they like their castmates? What was that scene hard to do, or was that scene hard to get through without cracking up? And hearing all those little tidbits to me just make whatever you're watching, whatever you're enjoying so much better. And that's the thing about these conventions is like you get all the behind the scenes and all the details. And I'll tell you, man, especially with Critical Role, they were like, one of the questions was, has any scene ever made you break, or who's made you crack up the most in the cast? And them all kind of shouting out different names or different parts. They brought up Ashley Johnson, which we know from The Last of Us. She had like a brief stint in the first Avengers movie, but they're like, she is so subtly funny. It's unbelievable. And they're like, her sense of humor is weird, is quirky, but she will make you crack up. And when you see her, you don't necessarily, I don't think of her being like looking at her and just thinking she's funny, but they're all saying she's hilarious. So that kind of stuff, you're like, dang, all right, it makes sense why you see your character Pike and then you crack up. But when I see Ellie, I don't necessarily think like, humor.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff makes it better for me, basically.
I love seeing their relationships, the way they actually have banter back and forth. It just enhances everything you see on screen when you see that behind the scenes. That's a lot of fun.
Yep, definitely.
What about you? You had a chance to watch the team from Claire Obscura, right?
Ooh, yeah. Oh, man. I haven't played all the games this year, but I'm going to say game of the year. I'm addicted to that game right now. And it's just crazy because the cast was also surprised. So like the whole voice cast was there. I think some of the devs, but I mainly saw the voice cast minus Charlie Cox, Andy Serkis, the goats. But I think the voice cast was also super surprised. Mael was there. CL was there. Verso. And like Verso, what a well-spoken, just charming guy in real life. It makes sense why he plays such a suave character, but he was so gracious and he was so cool. It makes me even like the character more, like you said, like we were talking about, right? Like when you see the person behind the scenes and they are just as cool, you're like, dang, that makes me like their character more. Well, 100% makes me like Verso more. And again, they were just so surprised by the reception of the game, by how people are enjoying it. They kind of talked about, did they just do voice acting? Were there mocap? Most of them did the mocap for it as well. So
you can feel that when you play the game. It is high quality. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just think about it. Like, it's not just them using their voice. And don't get me wrong, that takes every bit of talent and hard work and all that too. But they're actually providing the motions. They're in the scene. They're doing these characters. And so they were saying it was just this amazing experience. And they got really attached to the characters too. They were like, man, we just felt this responsibility to bring that to the screen. And you're right. I definitely felt it. And man, it was cool. And they were all dressed up in these like berets and like these striped shirts and suspenders. And
but you can find the skins in game, but they're hard to find for each character. Yeah.
Right. But they showed up as the characters. So like there's a lot of love for them with these characters. I know. It's just like, I'm not even done with the game, but I'm like, man, they better make a number 2.
Oh, I can't imagine them not. This studio blowing up because of this game. It's amazing. Did they give any advice for those of us who suck at dodging and parrying? That's what I need.
You think so? I saw them twice. One was kind of just on the main stage, and another one was off. So there's 3 stages that you could go to.
Yeah.
One was like a crazy line that you had to get into, and it was more exclusive, where you had the critical role. And then they showed exclusive clips of like Twisted Metal Season 2. I want to say, yeah, it's a Twisted Metal. I think so. And then there was another one that was off on the side. And what was cool about this panel is they had somebody speed running the game. That IGN flew out from Texas to try to speed run the game to see how fast he could do it.
That's cool.
With the voice cast. And they were just kind of in good fun, ragging on him, just him like, oh, you can't dodge it? Like, you didn't beat this in 20 minutes? Like just joking around. And while they were kind of getting interviewed, and they didn't give any advice of the game. They're all like saying, we pretty much suck at that. But they were saying it is nice. Right? It is nice that you can create or put your Pictos or I'm forgetting what your Luminaire? Lumos.
Yeah.
That you add to your characters that can kind of support your gameplay, right? So if you're not really good at dodging, but maybe for some reason you're really good at parrying, well, you can add your Pictos and put it towards that. And a lot of them are like, I'm terrible at it. So I put it on easy. And then I just like, I love the story. I get engaged in that. And then, and then they were kind of saying their favorite characters. And they're like, we try to just build up that. And they were so nice and so cool with each other. All of them were naming other characters that weren't the ones that they played.
That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. And I'm really excited for their career too. Like, not only is the game blowing up, but that means, hey, you guys got a gig going forward because people are going to want more of these games. That's incredible. That's cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
You had a chance to swing by. There's a new game in development right now, a new PUBG game. You had a chance to swing by that booth. What was that like?
Man, that was so cool. Yeah, the producer of the game was there, flew in from Korea. It's a very small team working on this game. And I know PUBG very limited from kind of the first-person shooter. And, it's been years since I played that. And this is a completely different approach to this new game. It is a top-down view. There's this line of sight component to it, and it's really cool. It's third person, but I think at launch, they're not even sure how many characters, but I don't know if this is too much spoiler alert. There's 20 characters in development. Again, don't know how many will actually be at launch, but each character has their own primary weapon, their own secondary weapon, and their own item. And each item does something different. One has like a smoke grenade. One has like a scanner that allows you to see kind of all the enemies in the map. And one thing that happened when I was playing the game was I am terrible at PC games. I'm terrible at aiming in general, but you kind of use the right mouse to kind of aim and then left mouse to actually fire the weapon. And it, man, if you're not aimed in the correct place, like the enemies can kind of sneak up behind you and use the environment. In certain places you can shoot through it and stuff, but it's just a cool looking game and it's really fun. There's like this just unique element. It reminds me of when I played like paintball or airsoft and you're like CQB or like close quarters combat and you're kind of sneaking around corners. You can be really strategic with it. And I think it's going to provide a lot of really fun dynamics with you and your team. So it's it's unique. It's almost hard to put into words, but it was a lot of fun.
And we're going to have the interview. It's with the producer, correct? That you spoke with?
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to butcher his name, but he was fantastic. And his translator was amazing too. But like I said, small team out of Korea, and there's so many things that they're fine tuning. But what I got to play was, man, I want to get it. It was just fun.
I'm excited for it. And very early in development. Just want to throw that out there. So it won't be out tomorrow. But we'll have that interview out next week, the full interview with you, speaking with the producer for the new PUBG game. It sounds like an outstanding event. Any particular highlights that we didn't talk about yet you want to make sure to bring up? Any of the I know there's all kinds of activities, the rodeo stuff going on too.
Yeah. There, instead of a mechanical bull, there was a mechanical narwhal. So that was different. 2K always shows up, at least they have for the last 2 years. They had their new WWE game. They had a new F1 game that I got to play that was really fun. I love F1 just personally, like I watch it on the side, but there's so many technical elements to F1. I was like, is that a game I would really want to play? After trying and playing, I was like, dang, I might want to get this game. It was really freaking cool. There was, golf aspect to it. There was some Steam decks going on that had just a variety of game from shooters to card games to RPGs that were going on. Let me see. There was an upstairs stage that they had Switch 2s that you could play. And I want to say there was Street Fighter on it that was playing. So, yeah, it was really cool. The graphics on that were incredible. You could record your podcast with some of the hosts from IGN, which I thought was fun. All the people you see in the videos on social media are all just walking around. Got to say hi to them, say what's up, in between. So they're very much just there to chat with you as a fan.
That's cool.
There was an art alley this time that wasn't there last year with comic book artists and little shops that you could purchase things at. Yeah, really cool. Every old school game you could think of from an old school arcade. There was an amazing organization too that basically for kids who are in the hospital and they're in recovery, there is an organization that goes and brings video games to them so that it can help their healing process. It was wonderful to speak to them. I'm sure we'll drop it in the show notes.
Yeah.
And then the main stage, there was, cool. It's as much as there's family friendly options, there was a lot of adult kind of centered things too, from like the Xbox to, it was called the Queen of Horror that had all these comedy things kind of celebrating Pride Month as well. What's her name? Margaret Cho was there, kind of one of the main panelists.
Dang.
Yeah. So that was cool. I mean, I also got to go into the adult section where I saw Claire Obscure, and it was the developers of the new Invincible game, which we just got an announcement for from the Xbox event. But I felt like I was in the know because I got that information a couple hours before it was announced. Yeah, on the Xbox thing. And seeing the guys talk about in the development, and is Robert Kirkman involved? And, how does this game differ than other tag team fighters, which we just got that new Marvel Yeah, I think it's like Marvel, not a versus Capcom,
like-
but it looks like
Yeah, it's Token something. Yeah, it's a real jumble of names.
exactly. But yeah, it's kind of like that, but mixed with 2D and 3D animation. And
Mhm.
then you're doing this with characters in the Invincible universe that you probably don't see in the show as much if you just watch the show. Like you might get in the comics, but they've also been able to add in like tag teams and throw people together in the Invincible universe that would never be on the same side.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the other cool thing too, where you can combine different characters. Like, so yeah, man, that looks cool. It looks brutal. It looks crazy, but also there's some story elements in there that again, you're not getting in the comics, that you're not getting in the show, that they're going to put in the game. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I'm not a big fighter person, but I was like, I might want to pick it up just to see the story. So that was awesome too.
Got the original voice actors for it too, so that's even cooler. That's gonna be
Right?
badass. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, it sounds like IGN did a great job this year, and we're looking forward to heading back out there next year. Thomas, thank you very much for heading down there for us and checking it all out.
Yeah, thank you for the invite, man. Yeah, it was a blast, and thanks to IGN. I think it's just getting better and better, and can't wait to see what they do next year.
All right, we are back from Thomas telling us all about IGN Live, and now Squeaks, you got your hands on the Switch 2. How is that going?
All right, so, okay, so let's keep me on track, okay? Because I don't want to go off track. Because
I'm
will.
gonna do that. Okay, boom.
So let's talk
I'm
about.
focused.
Bam! I'm holding the device. Let's talk about hardware. When I have it in my hands, this feels like an upgrade, which is nice. Big, beautiful screen. It with the 120 hertz, it feels smooth. All right, right. But anyway, not going into software. Right, keep me on track. Hardware.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm literally telling ChatGPT create an outline to keep Squeaks on track for reviewing the Switch 2. I'm literally doing that right now. Go ahead.
Okay, so one thing we'll talk about the back of it. Okay, so it's got the using the USB-C ports on the top and the bottom. Obviously, when it's docked, I am a sucker for the gimmicks, and I have the camera. I have two cameras because I didn't. But the thing I bought, the Piranha Plant, I didn't know it was a camera. That was a little cute cover to go on your camera. So I have two cameras.
Yeah, I
Right?
have two cameras.
So anyway, the camera is a lot smaller than it looks in person than it does look like on screen on
really?
TV, which I was super shocked because it looked kind of like pretty tall. I definitely maybe I thought it was like 10 inches type thing. But this like, oh damn, Squeaks, a little 2-incher sitting on the TV stand, right? So, but holding this thing, it feels great. I love the one of my favorite things is the magnetic snaps. It feels fancy.
Really?
I
That's
love
a conservative.
it. Oh, like click.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I love it. Oh man, I don't know. It's something about it just feels smooth. A little concerned though, it has a little chip on the inside, where you do snap it into the Switch, and just be careful with that because it seems like something that could just easily snap off, snap in place, snap off. Right?
Oh, snap.
Okay,
let's keeping you on track.
Okay,
how is it as a follow up to Switch 1? What improvements are you seeing from the Switch 1?
Definitely the improvements are right. The screen is big. That's really nice. It does feel like I'm playing that Portal type now because I really do like my Portal for that.
Yeah.
Give me that big ass screen in my hand, you know. But it's mostly in the software. So playing Mario Kart too many hours now. Mario Kart World on Switch 2. It does feel like an enhancement, right? It does look smooth.
Okay,
the
good.
colors are nice. Now, the colors might not be as nice as the OLED. If some of you are thinking like, hey, this is like an Apple product where essentially I'm not going to give you my best foot forward. I'm going to give you a little bit downscale so I can sell you another product within the next couple months. That might be a thing. I wouldn't be shocked if we see an OLED Switch too, right? That'll piss me off, but whatever. But it looks great though. Yeah, it looks great. Like the colors might not be as vibrant as the OLED, but man, that thing runs smooth, and I think it's pretty sweet. Let's see what else. Other than that,
do you think do you think the Mario Kart was a good launch title for that? Do you think that game is keeping your interest enough?
It is. It's forcing me to keep my interest, right? So I'm because it's the only thing available right now. I was a little upset when I went to the eShop and I was like, Frank really likes it. I'm finally going to play it. Kirby Forgotten Lands. I'm going to play that Switch 2 upgrade.
Oh, good game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not released yet until August because it comes with like an extra story and then that Switch 2 upgrade.
Yeah.
Fucking why, man? This game's already been released. What's the problem here? So I
Is
think the
Advanced
lack of
Wars got a
titles.
Switch 2 upgrade? Because that might swap me over.
That'd be cool.
I
That'd be
beat that game 100%.
cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, and I think that's what's really hurting it, right? So like some the games that are upgradable, either like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, I'm not playing those because I just spent nearly 50 hours on both of them. I don't feel like doing it again just for the enhancement.
Yeah.
Maybe this is my time to get into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's the one
Yeah.
Pokemon game I have not played, and I've seen screen side by sides of them. Looks fun, like a phenomenal upgrade. Looks great.
Fixed every complaint from what I hear. Like you could literally go all the way to the ocean. The windmill's turning. That's a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every complaint that people have had about the Switch 1's edition of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
do you feel like this console is still for families, or because it kind of feels like the way you're describing it, it's more gamer oriented than before?
It is because of the third party titles that will be on it, but it does have the family features still attached. So let me explain.
Okay.
I haven't really got to use my camera yet. The camera that helps with the chat is used for people that you know, or maybe you can play with and kind of add them to parties, whatever. You can't just let me back it up. So like Mario Kart World, right? You enter online and you're like, yeah, I want to chat. Hell yeah, I want to use the camera and let's do it. And it looks like there's a little portrait above your character. Well, I thought, for example, that you would just consistently see your your face, whatever, when you're like zooming by somebody, that little circle above your like Wario character is your actual face. No, that's not the case. You would have to like join a party, almost like it feels like the Nintendo chat on your phone to like chat with people.
Yeah, it's like a separate party, like the old school Xbox used to do that. Yeah.
It feels like that. So that's an unfortunate thing that I have this camera and I've not been able to use it yet because the people that I haven't really experienced anybody else that has Mario Kart right now, Mario Kart World. So it's the unfortunate thing that I can't just show off to the world right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's why they don't do it, is because of that. You were worried about that happening, and now you tried it yourself, and it's just you and Sammy over there with your Switches, and be like, well, I've seen this, and so there's nothing else going on.
So yeah, it's unfortunate that I spent like $50 on this camera and I haven't been able to use it yet. So hopefully, hey guys, I need a friend. I don't know. It's kind of gimmicky, the camera thing, right? It's like just come up with a dedicated chat.
How's the battery life, performance, stuff like that? Has it met all of your expectations, especially for the price point? Do you think the price point's worth it?
Battery life, right? Not as good as my OLED. I haven't had it died on me yet, so I haven't had like the extensive hours or whatever. But I do notice a chunk of battery missing when I have a session of Mario Kart, right? Let's see what you say. Like price point, like is it worth it or whatnot? It's still hard to tell because, right, I really want to keep playing my Switch. Like right now, I would love to jump on my Switch, but the only thing I have available right now for me is Mario Kart. That I don't know.
Can't you put in an old Switch game into your regular?
But it's like I want to play Switch 2, you know. There are games that I do need to like go back and play, and of course I'm going to play them on the new one, right? So I do have like Skyward Sword, Zelda. God, I have so much like Chrono. Xenoblade Chronicles. You know, like 2 and 3 that I would love to play. So I think 3 I heard was a pretty decent upgrade to it, but I didn't see like an actual like official upgrade, you know, bundle thing or something that you can upgrade for like $20 or whatever. For it.
What about Cyberpunk? Because that seems like a good test of that system.
Yeah, and I've seen Cyberpunk side by side with the PS5, and it looks great. Like it looks super held up. Yeah. But is it enough to make me want to play like on the go? Probably not. I could just jump into my PC and play that, you know. So it's kind of like you're not giving me. I mean, again, once Donkey Kong comes out, once the Metroid comes out, once the Kirby Forgotten Lands comes out, then Hyrule Warriors, number 3 now, whatever we're on.
Right.
Then I think it's like, okay, now it's time to buy because now I have that library. But it's giving me a lot of time to be good at Mario Kart, man. That fucking mother game is the only racing game that you can play online. And somehow you're first place and then you finish 15th. Motherfucker, you know? God. But it's definitely forcing me to unlock characters, skins, and whatnot because, you know, again, I want to play Switch 2 games on my Switch 2. So, yeah.
So right now, do you feel like, should people go buy this system right now?
Oh man, this is gonna hurt for me to say it, but if you want to wait, then I can. That it's understandable.
Justify
I'll
waiting.
say that. Yeah.
Probably wait for like Donkey Kong, which is next month.
At least have two titles that'll definitely hold you
Yeah.
over because Mario Kart's your Mario Kart, right? All you're gonna do is race, and it's fun. Donkey Kong's gonna be your
Yeah.
awesome, probably story, your adventure platforming, and
Mhm.
then
Which
that'll
normally they
hold you
release with the
tight,
Mario, it is that, right? That kind of
right?
like eats up
Yeah,
time.
and then that'll hold you over to. I think you got Metroid and I think Kirby might be the soonest one, and then you have that Hyrule Warrior. So I think those two you can wait until Donkey Kong, have those two games to hold you over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and also if you weren't super into Switch 1, it might be good because I mean, Breath of the Wild I hear
True.
runs really well. Again, with that Pokemon,
True.
Tears of the Kingdom also runs really. So like a lot of those titles that should have been released on better systems on the Switch 1 are now running properly
Yes.
on the Switch
Yeah.
2. So that's another
Yeah.
thing too.
Yeah.
So, all right, well,
Yeah.
that sounds good. What, you want to give it a out of 10?
Yeah, I could give it a. Let's see. Again, the hardware is awesome. The screen's beautiful. I love the snapping on thing. I would say 8 out of 10 Yoshi eggs. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Yo, Yoshi eggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Again, if you had the titles released, then all for it. Camera, maybe more functions with the camera, all for it. So I'd dock it 2 points for that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, guys, there we go. There's our Switch 2 review. And I think I personally will be waiting a little bit on it then based off your review.
Yeah.
That's good info. All right, let's go ahead and get into our review with Scott Wilk. Scott, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? Glad we were able to connect.
Yeah. Scott, you've got a great library of comics. I'm personally a big fan of your Periwinkle line. And we're going to be talking a little bit about your latest one in that franchise with Frost. Can you tell us a little bit about Frost and what your direction was with this comic book?
Yeah, Frost, just because it's part of the Periwinkle saga, so it's this reimagining of all these holiday characters in really dark, violent ways. So, I did the North Pole elves. I did Cupid. I'm like, what's the logical next step? And I'm sitting there thinking, I love John Wick.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I'm like, what character could kind of do a cool hitman? And then I'm like, Jack Frost. I mean, he can create his weapons out of ice, shoots ice bullets. He leaves no trail of evidence. His dad's Old Man Winter. So I'm just like, it just kind of very serendipitously came together. And yeah, it's a real love letter to John Wick. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of how Frost came to be.
And you did this one with, is it Arturo Mesa, right? That's how you say Arturo?
Yeah,
You
Arturo.
gotta
Yep.
handcuff Arturo to a desk, man. Don't lose.
I'm
That
gonna lock
art is
him up, dude.
incredible.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna go to Spain. I'm gonna kidnap him. Yeah, I might even try to put a ring on it because
I would.
you know,
It is incredible. The artwork, the way when you
he's
said John Wick,
amazing
you're like, yep, that nailed it because it's exactly John Wick vibes.
for
Uh,
sure.
Even with just like the car and the sunset, that's such a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Um, so will we see expansions on Frost or anything else of the Periwinkle? I'm assuming we're gonna get more Periwinkle, but everything's a one shot. Do you plan on
Yeah,
expanding on any of these characters?
for sure. Yeah, the next one I'm doing is called O'Hare. So that one's about the Easter Bunny's daughter and Baby New Year, and they're disgraced ex-cops. So we're currently working on that one, and once that one's done, I'm gonna start kind of, I'm maybe 10 years behind the trend, but I'm going to start combining these universes together and have them
Yeah.
cross over. Cupid meets Frost, that type of thing. So it's really going to pay off for those who have been like around and, been following each of these guys' stories because they will intersect in really meaningful ways. It's not just going to be out of the sake of doing it. It's going to be very organic. And I think it's going to really pay off. And even for people who are new to the series, I think they're gonna be able to jump in and just have a joy because you don't have to read them all together if you don't want to. You can read
Right.
one, and there's something to get from just a single experience. But those who are kind of eating the whole meal are gonna, I think, feel very satiated.
Well, and they
Yeah.
are connected still today. It's just that you have to pay
Yeah.
attention to it. But like the events in Periwinkle are affecting what we're seeing with Frost. Um,
Yeah.
there's a power vacuum, right, with Santa, and so who's going to
Exactly.
fill in that power vacuum? And all of this, saying Santa, saying the Easter Bunny, and all these different things like that. It's a
Yeah.
mob story. It really is. Like there's this big power vacuum. Who's
Yeah.
going to take on top? What about that genre were you attracted to, and why would you want to bring these kind of fantasy characters into that?
Yeah, I've always been, I love holidays. I love, you know, nostalgia. So
Hmm.
like,
Yeah,
I look at that and I'm like, how can that stuff grow with us, right? I mean, I love the mythology behind all of it, and it's very deep, um, and layered mythology too. Once you start digging
yeah,
into like the lore behind Santa and Jack Frost and all that, you unlock this treasure trove of stuff to play with, and it's just an immense sandbox. And then I like to, I love movies like John Wick, like Big
yeah.
Lebowski. Like a lot of that was like Cupid was kind of my Big Lebowski.
Hmm.
Periwinkle, I love Kill Bill. That was my Kill Bill. So it's always like I try to like pull all these things that I love and then mix in this nostalgia and kind of create this cacophony of craziness and fun. And it's so far it's been, it's it's been very, and I think I owe a lot of that to Arturo, how organic and kind of well meshed. Like everything fits together really
Yeah.
well, and Arturo is a big piece of that. His consistent kind of style and voice through that is like a real through line, and you can tell the DNA is all matching throughout. So um, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question,
You
but
you did, yeah. Well, even with like,
okay,
I
but
like the
yeah,
idea of bringing in Arturo on this because even if it's in
yeah,
a city or if it's in a forest, uh,
yeah,
they still feel like they're in the same breathing world. It still feels very much alive because
yeah,
Arturo's definitely putting in the effort to make sure everything in the background makes sense and that there are
makes
characters
sense
in the background and stuff too.
for
So
sure.
it's really good work. Um, you have a lot of morally gray characters. By the way, I'm thinking now with the Easter Bunny one. I mean, Pulp Fiction, right? That seems like such a Pulp Fiction storyline.
Thank you, sir. You got me, man. You connected.
Perfect. Okay, so you have a lot of these morally great characters, heroes,
Yeah.
villains. Uh, how do you keep your readers empathetic toward these characters when they're doing sometimes somewhat heinous things? How do you do that? How do you manage that?
I always think of like It's Always Sunny, right? It's like those types of characters where at the end of the day you want to hate them, but they're kind of it's not things out of the realm of things we've maybe thought. Or like Michael Scott's maybe a lesser example or more
Hmm.
accurate. He does things that like we would do if we didn't have social etiquette, right?
Yeah.
So I like doing that. Like these characters all have a little bit of humanity in them and things kind of pulled from my own perspective. My Cupid's, um, you know, he's love drunk, and he wants to have love and all that. So like he
Yeah.
pulled from that, and I've pulled from like heartbreak through my life and stuff in that one. And Jack Frost, he wants to break free of the shadow of his father. He wants to be more than what his father created, and I think that's all something we can relate to. Trying to create our own footprint in this world. And so it's always kind of keeping that one piece in there that kind of we can connect with.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I love Superman, don't get me wrong, but he's not always that interesting because
Hmm.
he is always doing the right thing. I think when you do those morally gray, it's just so much more fascinating and so much more realistic because we understand that, right? As a
Hmm.
from a human perspective. And um, it's not, these guys aren't always the heroes. Sometimes they're the villains. And sometimes we're the villains in our own stories, and it's all about perspective. And yeah, I just love exploring that. And I think it makes for good stories, more
Yeah.
so than just a very, one-dimensional good guy versus bad guy type of narrative.
And
So,
it's trusting the audience to find the through the complexity the character that they want to follow still. And I think with Jack Frost, one of the things I really liked is while he's trying to escape the shadow of his father, I think in a lot of ways he would love to have his father's love, which his dad is so strictly, you know, the mob is number one. We got to be number one. We got to take over Santa's role. And it's just like, hey, let's
yeah.
stop and take a break for a second, man. I'm doing good, I promise.
Right. Yeah. I love that. No, I appreciate you taking that because, like, you know, I I love the character driven component of it,
Mhm.
and I love when people kind of narrow in on those things. So thank you for pointing that out because that's what it's all about. I love the we all love action and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
that's all fun and flair and all that. But at the core, it's a very character driven story about a man like trying to break free and trying to be more than what he's told he could be. So that's
Yeah.
awesome that you got that from that.
Now, when you're talking about character-driven characters, it's a lot of, well-crafted writing, and then of course we have Arturo and his cool action scenes. How do you
Yeah.
guys communicate between each other of, hey, I want to, these panels of just crazy car chase or something like that. How does that look, or do you just trust him like, hey, here you go, this many pages or whatever?
Right. No, what's funny is it's a story I always like to tell is that Arturo told me once that he learned all of his English, and maybe I told you this the last time we talked, that he learned it all from Tarantino films. So I just let that I do kind of I give him a panel by panel breakdown, but I
Okay.
don't really, I'm not domineering about it. If he wants to veer one way, I'm like, go for it, buddy. Like, I just looking at an O'Hare page just now, and I'm like, he had New Year's Baby do something a little bit different from what I scripted it, but I'm like, it's such a great departure. Like, I'm like,
Mm,
that was such a great addition. That's why I really feel like, this is a collaborative effort. It's a 50-50 share of these characters and the stories, and um, he adds so much and things I didn't even think of. And so again, I do give him a pretty solid framework, but I
yeah.
never tell him like, whoa, 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 that's not what I wrote. You know what I mean?
Oh, of
So,
course, yeah.
um, and I think that's he feels an equal ownership in it. And I think that's why the art is so resonates because he's so passionate about it. And he's not pigeonholed in to have to do exactly what I say. He can kind of explore different views and different perspectives.
Yeah.
He can change up the action, what he thinks is more visually appealing. So yeah, it's a really great relationship we have, and I
Hmm.
hope we can keep doing this because he's having fun, I'm having fun. So
Yeah, works out well. So with these new books, what were some of your goals with these? I know that you're working with a lot of other people with these ones, instead of like Arturo with these. What were some of your newer challenges that you ran into these outside of like the Periwinkle saga?
a lot of them, like they're all new artists to me.
Yeah.
I had never worked with Vince before. I never worked with Marco or Marcos. And and Carrie, with Xeno guys, I've worked with quite a bit, so she kind of
Hmm.
understands, and that's the biggest challenge is like those issue ones is starting to understand each other's voices,
Yeah.
and how they work, and seeing how they interpret what I write. There's sometimes there's language barriers, sometimes there's just maybe lost in translation or whatever it is between the page and the word in the page. Um, so it's there's always that kind of learning curve, and it's not, and I don't want to say that like in a negative way. I think a lot of times it's very, thankfully, it's been always very I've been very fortunate, I should say, that
Yeah.
all the artists have always kind of amplified. I've never had to be like, oh, you're like, like this isn't what I imagined. Like I'm
Yeah.
never doing that, but I'm just like, oh wow, that now is unlocking a whole new thought pattern or arena for me to like play in because I'm like, I didn't even think along those wavelengths you are. So let me kind
Nice.
of shift my paradigm or shift my perspectives a bit. And that's why those number ones are always like those like, pilot episodes of TV. It's like
Yeah.
this never doesn't quite match what's gonna come later. Like you get kind of like the characters shift a bit because once you see their interpretation of a character, I'm like, okay, I need to shift the voice a bit now.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of that is like in post production you can even do that as well. So, but yeah, I always love doing that. Sometimes there's benefits to both worlds, right? Arturo and I we're like just
Hmm.
riffing off of each other. So it's cool, and I think I have the same kind of relationship. I think with Vince, he definitely gets it and he's enjoying it. And when an artist enjoys the work, that's paramount
Yeah.
because then it flourishes, right?
Yeah.
So
You could build on top of that then.
yeah.
Let's say you get tapped by one of the two big dogs and
Yeah.
they're like, pick a character you're gonna write for. Who would you want to write for, and what would you want to add to it to give it that Scott Wilk flavor?
As much as I love crazy violent stories, like Superman's my one and true. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the one that brought me into comics to begin with.
I want
So
to add something real quick for people who are not watching the
uh,
video of this. You talked about morally great characters this entire time, and you got the two Boy Scouts around you. You've got all Captain America gear on with Superman behind you.
it's such a dichotomy, right? It's like what I consume, but then what my output is
Yeah.
it doesn't always match. Yeah, I think I would just I don't know. I've tried to think like what I could do with Superman, and obviously it's hard to do something that hasn't been done already. But I think
Right.
really going back to like taking it all the way back and putting him back in the 50s would be um I'd find that really enjoyable. And I'd like to see that from a visual a movie perspective and just have it kind of that retro vibe like that
Yeah.
Fantastic Four is doing,
Hmm.
doing that with Superman instead. But yeah, I don't know. But like if as far as like morally gray, I think Punisher would be thoroughly enjoyable. I love Punisher stuff.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I could have a lot of fun. Arturo would have a lot of fun working with me too on that
Oh yeah.
one. Just
Yeah.
the gruesome freaking content. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm a big fan of the fact that they're starting to address the cop stuff in the latest Daredevil
Yeah.
Born Again. I'm like, heck yeah, that's a good
That was
story right there.
such a good yeah, that was a
Yeah.
solid season. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. I'm that guy who's like telling everybody like this is Marvel addressing this real world problem they had back in, like 2018 or something like that. Like I was preaching for like this is such good storytelling for Marvel. I love it.
It was yeah, that was a solid choice.
Yeah,
I'm glad they did that too because
me
it
too.
was needed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Scott, follow everything he's got. Links in the description. Make sure you guys are following up on these campaigns. And then you go to
Yes, sir.
Bad Bug's website to be able to pick up some of these older comic books. Again, I'm going to highly suggest that you start with Pennywinkle. It's 3 books in the saga right now, right? It's the three Cupid and Frost as well.
Keeping Frost, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
highly suggest it's a good place to start. Scott, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. This was fun.
Yeah,
We
I
got
don't
we got to
mind.
connect more often, man.
That's true. Very true. All right, that is Scott Wilk. Make sure you guys check out the Periwinkle franchise. The Frost franchise just came out, and so much more. All the links in the description if you guys want to get on that. Let's look across the network. We have, first of all, we're going to be at the Capital Creative Showcase this weekend. If you guys want to come on by, Sacramento Library Galleria on Saturday. We're going to be up on the stage. We're going to have music going, chit-chatting with people. Come on over, hop on a microphone. Tell us about the favorite video game, and we'll have you on the podcast for a bit there. That should be a lot of fun. It's one of our favorite events. It's always a good one. Phantom Portals is covering Jersey Girl, which is one of the early movies out of, was it Steve Smith or something like that? Can't remember a damn thing. Over on Challenge Accepted, we're doing How to Train Your Dragon, getting ready for the new movie. We're going to be reviewing the animated How to Train Your Dragon and comparing it to the live action. We're going to be reviewing both. Distance Nerding, they had a voiceover actor Bob Carter on recently, legendary voiceover actor. Over on Anime Plus, they're talking about the Crunchyroll Anime Awards for 2025. And Disney Mom's Gone Wrong just did Moana 2, which I still got to watch Moana 2. But according to them, not great.
Yeah, not
So,
great. I agree.
let's-
Finally, I agree with them. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go. So much contention with those guys over there. All right, let's get right into your recommendation. What's your recommendation for the week?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I actually have a pretty solid one. Okay.
Mhm.
It is the newer Marvel Knights: The World to Come. This is essentially Black Panther T'Challa is getting much older. He
Yeah.
has his tribute, right? Whatever challenge,
Oh,
yearly
right.
challenge, whatever.
Mhm.
But something that I like that it kind of like does a different story. It's different Earth or whatever. What I like a little bit about this one is that he doesn't get with Storm. So they get together, and before they got married, he splits. But he builds a shrine of Storm because she passes away shortly after. So
wow.
he gets with another girl, and then and it's kind of like funny because the girl is like, "Oh, you say you love me, but then I have to wake up to look at the shrine every day." He's like, "Do you want me to take it down?" Like, no, because your real love is with someone else. That I guess she's pregnant. Whatever. So this first issue ends. Next one's July, and he gets beaten down, and he gets beaten down by a white guy, meaning
Yep.
it was his son. And I'm thinking
Yeah.
that's It's like that dick everywhere. Okay, so he's like, how many different kids do you have, man? Let's see.
I'm well aware of this issue because it is sparking some discussion. Definitely not on main Earth, right? It's a multiverse. You can do whatever you want, but yeah, people were talking about like, what?
Yeah,
T'Challa.
So
Scandalous.
and I'm kind of excited to see like you got this random son that you're introducing. How did he become to be like this Black Panther, outfit, whatever, like what's his story? And that, I'm actually kind of interested in that. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next month's issue. Yeah.
Yeah. They do some fun stuff in the comic books with Black Panther recently. Wakanda and Moon Knight have been going to war. So there's some fun things there.
That's I guess you could see like, what is it, like gods or
it's because Khonshu wants Wakanda. It's not Moon Knight. It's of course Khonshu. And he doesn't let freaking Moon Knight sleep.
Yeah, I was trying to get that crossover. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, it's just Khonshu. He's got a wild hair up his ass. For me, hey, we're going to Marvel for me too. So Marvel Rivals just put out an auto chess mode. It's a whole new game basically within Marvel Rivals. And so what it is you essentially set up for anybody who's not familiar with auto chess, you set up characters in a certain way. Certain different characters, basically you have the entire roster to use, but they limit you per round, and you upgrade your characters in different ways as you want to, like increase fire rate for all my damage dealers, or healers get their ults 20% faster, and you can keep upgrading that to where it's 100% faster, and you just let them fight each other, and it's all about you and 5 other players continually fighting each other, and you take off 2 of their health out of 50 every time they lose, and so you're like battling to become supreme. By the end, your team's totally unique. So it's a different way of playing characters you're already familiar with a really cool art style. It's a lot of fun. It's a whole new way of playing a game that's, again, free for everybody. So check that out, guys. It's the auto chess feature. It's Ultron something is what they're calling it, but it's auto chess. Overall Marvel Rivals, guys. Nice. Check it out.
Nice.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us again. Come on, hang out with us over at the Capital Creative Showcase. This Saturday, starting at 11 till 5, we'll be there up on the stage and hanging out and playing music and having fun. We'll see you guys there. Also, drop us a review on Apple Podcast. We've just got a recent review. I'll be reading those as we go forward. And shout out to our Patreon. You guys check your mail. We just sent out new shirts and all the swag for the summer.
Nice.
Check your guys' mail. Let me know that you guys got that in. All right, everybody, take it easy. See you on the next one. Bye.